Hey everyone, I'm Francis.
Hi, I'm Alden, and welcome back to the ChattyAF podcast. Today we have our guest, Ash. Ash, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi there, guys. My name is Ash. I am from South Africa, and I met these two guys, really cool guys from Fulbright here on
You're so cool.
NCU campus in Taiwan. So it's a real privilege to be here today and talk with everyone.
No, I'm just excited that you're here. We haven't had too many international guests yet. We have some, but I'm just very curious about what is South Africa like. I've never been. I've traveled, to Africa. I've been to Malawi and Ethiopia where I did some student teaching, but I've never been to South Africa. So you want to chat about that?
Okay. What questions do you have?
All right, so specifically, how long did you live in South Africa for?
So I was actually born there. So my parents are Taiwanese, and they immigrated there to start their own businesses. So I was born there, I grew up there, and I'm only recently in Taiwan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
how many years in Taiwan so far?
It's my fourth year. So
So only here for university.
yeah, basically.
Oh, cool. Why
Yeah.
did you choose Taiwan and not South
Not South
Africa?
Africa.
Or like anywhere else, really?
So I was studying at the University of Cape Town in South Africa previously, but it was this whole thing with COVID, and I don't think I was enjoying my freshman life, so decided to change it up a bit, and also I feel like it was a good idea to come to Taiwan just to experience what my parents grew up with and stuff. Yeah, and get in touch with my roots.
Very cool. Where are your parents from in Taiwan?
My mother is from New Taipei City,
Okay.
and my father is by Tainan. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Okay, cool. And so when you were growing up in South Africa, you were learning English, but also any other languages?
Right. So, interesting fact about South Africa, we're known as the Rainbow Nation, right? So, this is because we have so many different cultures in South Africa, and since we also have so many cultures, we have a lot of official languages. So we have 11 official languages,
wow.
and we're basically required to take at least one of them along with English.
Okay.
Yeah, and I took Afrikaans, which is basically the white South African language, which is descended from Dutch.
Oh, wow.
Fascinating.
And how long did you learn that for?
12 years.
Oh, so this is K to 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
So would you say that you're fluent in Afrikaans as well?
I haven't spoken in a bit,
Gotcha.
but I still understand and can communicate quite well, I feel.
Okay. So you know 3 languages or more?
So Chinese would be my third language.
Yep.
Yeah, and I only really picked it up when I got to Taiwan.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fascinating.
So I think the first year I was here, I was really embarrassed to speak Chinese because my parents are Taiwanese. I'm descended from Taiwanese people, so I look like I should be able to speak fluent Mandarin, and then when I speak very broken Chinese, then I get looks kind of from older people, especially.
How did you learn Chinese in the past 4 years? Because we're currently trying to learn Chinese too.
Yeah.
What are some of your suggestions?
Wow, I feel like I have a little bit of an edge because my parents are Taiwanese and I've heard them speak, so I'm familiar with all the dialects and stuff. I just haven't had practice speaking myself, but here we do have a lot of Chinese courses that I think you can listen in on, and I don't know. I guess you can just start with listening and speaking because I know a lot of the Chinese majors, foreign students that have come here. They all know how to write and read, but they can't really speak Chinese that well. But I feel like to just survive in a country, I think listening and speaking is more important. And
Absolutely.
it's easier to pick up than reading and writing. So I guess you can try it. I mean, earlier when I was speaking Chinese, Alden did pick up some of the Chinese words I was saying.
Yeah, I mean, Francis's listening is definitely better than mine because of the Cantonese connection. But I mean, I've been here for 3 years, pretty consistently listening to it. So there's a decent amount that I can understand, but also a decent amount that I completely blank on. But that's really cool. Okay, so you've been learning it. You've been learning the languages. You mentioned that your parents speak some of the like the dialects and other languages at home. So they speak Chinese at home. Did they ever speak Taiwanese at home?
Usually, Taiwanese parents would speak Taiwanese, but in our family, my parents spoke Mandarin to us, but they are fluent in Taiwanese, and with their peers, they would speak Taiwanese. And
Fascinating.
I just haven't thought to pick that up. So
It's challenging. It's challenging.
Yes.
We have a couple friends who have like tried to learn Taiwanese. Some of them pretty successfully.
Really?
But the way the whole tone system works, where the preceding tone informs the tone that comes after that. I don't know what the official definition of that is. Linguists in chat, please let us know what that technical term is. But it's just oof. I mean, the less resources than for learning Mandarin, and just the complexity of the language definitely makes it feel like it would be harder.
yeah, definitely.
Wait, you and Alden been in Taiwan pretty much around the same time then. So you came in 20...
I was
20?
there in 2021.
2021.
Really?
Yeah.
What month?
That's when you came, right?
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
late
August.
August 2021.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you're only here a couple months before me.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Because we have a joke with Alden. He's a senior here in Taiwan too.
Yeah. Yeah. Senior year is good so far.
Yeah. No, it's been a fun year for me.
Nice. Nice.
So past 4-ish years, three, whatever, 4, what have you had the chance to do in Taiwan? Like, he's climbed a bunch of mountains. What about you? Like, what do you enjoy doing, and how do you explore Taiwan?
Right, so I think this is a pretty tough question for me because in South Africa, I used to be quite active outdoors and I'd go mountain climbing and stuff. But in Taiwan, it's really humid.
Yeah.
I don't really enjoy going outdoors when I'm here. I don't know. For me, I feel like I've navigated Taiwan by just meeting the people here. I'm lucky to be enrolled at the school, so I do meet a lot of people and speak with them, hear about their lives, and I do a lot of Taiwanese cultural visits and crafts and stuff as well, which I think is
Wow.
quite interesting.
Is this a club on campus or?
Not really, but the school's Overseas International Association, they try to promote these events for foreign students. So they would probably host a lot of events on campus where we learn some traditional Taiwanese crafts, or they would have trips to probably cultural visits to maybe museums or local Taiwanese places. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you made it down to like Zhanghua by any chance? Like the temples down there?
And I feel like I might. So I did come previously before enrolling here.
Oh,
I
okay.
did do a kind of cultural tour around the whole of Taiwan.
Oh,
okay.
Wandao.
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Your family or?
No, it's a government
Like a program?
like yes, it's a government program where they try and get overseas Chinese people back. There's also for foreign people, but it's basically just to get people to come and check out Taiwan and hopefully convince them to stay here.
Yeah. What's the program called? And foreigners can apply too?
Foreigners, I have seen foreigners apply. It is called Taiwan 观摩团. Yeah, it should be Taiwanese youth tour, something like that.
I'm too old for that.
I think the oldest age is 25.
Oh yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other programs though, so I know if you're teaching English or something, I know they do have like teachers programs as well to get people from overseas, and you pay like almost nothing, basically administration fees, and they sponsor most of the hotel stays and food and all that. So if you check the OCAC.gov website, you can find a lot of these programs.
Wait, plug that for what? Say it one more time.
The OCAC.gov.
OCAC.gov.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you are either a foreigner or a Taiwanese person living abroad, OCAC, write it down. Remember that. That is really cool. So, would you say that program like played a role in you coming back here, or was it mainly just a pandemic kind of thing?
Well, it definitely brought it to my attention because before this, there was no chance that I was studying in Taiwan.
Sure.
I definitely felt like it was not part of me. Like I wouldn't be able to connect with the people. I can't even speak the language, and I felt that I was a South African and not a Taiwanese person, and I wouldn't be able to acclimate. But coming back to Taiwan, especially meeting all the other overseas Taiwanese youth, I guess I kind of connected with Taiwan a bit, and they also secretly sneak in a few visits to universities where they tell you about some programs that they might have, and I think that definitely put the idea in my head. Yeah, so I'm in the southern hemisphere in South Africa, so our semesters are different. So our academic year starts around January, so beginning of the year, and ends like December, end of the year. So I had the time to enroll first in South Africa and then take the time to decide whether or not I was going to come to Taiwan. So I think that was a big advantage for me.
Very cool. Wow. What's your favorite part of being at NCU?
Being at NCU? Wow. I feel like it is quite a homely school.
That's Alden's favorite
Yeah.
thing about NCU too. It's
Yeah.
just so green. How would you describe it?
It's like there's a lot of like public and green
There you go.
space, and I
Yes.
really appreciate that because it gives the campus a sort of distinct vibe from the rest of Taoyuan. Like Taoyuan is very much like city,
Yeah.
concrete, asphalt, meant for cars, meant for scooters, but like the campus is really meant for people. It's meant for people walking, biking, families, dogs, etc. So I really appreciate that about NCU too.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I feel like the school authorities and stuff have also really tried to make us feel at home, especially I think because we're overseas Chinese, so they do look out for us a bit. So yeah, I definitely feel like it was the right choice to come to Taiwan.
That's awesome.
Sweet. That's
Any,
fantastic.
what are the plans after? What's the big move?
Well, we were talking about this earlier, but I was hoping that after I graduate, I can just apply to any school in Europe, really. But the idea is to just find a small, quiet place to settle down, I think, and just have a peaceful, stable life.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Could you give us like a top 5 like countries? It doesn't have to be in any particular order, but like maybe 5 that you've been thinking about.
All right, so I've been thinking about Sweden, Finland, Amsterdam, Belgium, and also Germany.
Germany, okay.
Yeah.
You would have to, I mean, obviously you have English, but then it's another language probably that you would have to learn.
Yeah, that is a tough part. So the good thing is that the programs that I'm applying to are taught in English, and I think these countries do have a largest English-speaking population
Right.
than Taiwan.
No,
Obviously.
of course.
Yeah. How have you guys been dealing with the whole Mandarin situation here?
I mean,
Well, you've been here for longer, so
I
what is
think-
it like for you?
I think that at first, when I was first living in Penghu, it was very much a trial by fire, and I had very little context and very little preparation coming over due to the time when I actually got my acceptance versus when I needed to come here. So I had a bit of practice, I had a bit of stuff, but it was all just self-studied things, mostly just numbers, mostly just basic greetings. But as I was able to, get a tutor and speak with more people, it became easier over time. The thing is, I think surviving and living in Taiwan with just a little bit of Chinese is not actually too difficult, but to have deeper connections with a variety of people and to really make the most of your time here, you would want to learn more, and you would want to develop sort of your own identity in Chinese, which is something that I'm still working on. So actually last episode we were talking about this. Our last guest was talking about his sort of Western versus Eastern brain and kind of who he is when he thinks in these different ways. So it's pretty fascinating. What do you think?
Yeah, for me it's a bit different. I grew up speaking Cantonese and listening to Cantonese. My family, that's pretty much the only language they speak. My parents can speak a bit of English, but it's very broken. And at home growing up, I only spoke Cantonese. And so it is really interesting. The first time I was here in 2018, 2019 in Yilan, listening was not too difficult. I was slowly getting used to the different tones in Mandarin versus Cantonese, and so I was listening, picking it up, really just trying to listen to everything, eavesdropping on everyone and trying to pick up the language. But this time around, I feel more comfortable. I wouldn't say confident. There are a lot of words that I still don't know when someone's speaking, but when I can pick up enough, I can put these sentences or words together and formulate whatever the person is saying. So I feel pretty comfortable with listening, but speaking is very difficult. And when you said coming back and trying to speak and feeling embarrassed, I feel similar, because I think a lot of times, right, they look at me and they're like, oh, why can't you speak Chinese? Or they'll also say oh wait, so if I speak Chinese, they immediately know I'm not local, and so then they'll be like, oh, Korea? I'll be like, no, not Korea. So in ways, it's I'm trying to still build that identity for my Chinese, and in terms of especially speaking, and then slowly maybe getting into reading. I don't think writing is going to be necessary, needed, but I think slowly speaking and reading eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting actually to have similar experiences. Do you have any tips for your audience about learning foreign languages?
It's kind of what we were talking about. Actually, we've talked about it in a few episodes. It's sort of trying to figure out who you are with that language, why this language matters to you, what things you care about, and it's sort of developing a foreign language identity. In addition to just learning the vocabulary, making it real, making it about the things that you're passionate about.
Yeah, really just what you said, putting Chinese or the language and connecting it to your daily hobby, daily life, whether it's for us going to a restaurant that we usually go to every day and just practicing with the daughter and the lawan, just practicing our Chinese, and then also just apps. I use Duolingo. So I'm currently also trying to learn Spanish as well, or continue to learn Spanish. I studied Spanish in college for a little bit, like enough to get a minor, but I've lost so much of it. And because I'm not speaking it every day, it's just so difficult to retain. If someone's speaking slowly, I probably can understand, but just practicing every day, whether it's Duolingo, finding a friend to chat with, those are all great ways to practice language.
Okay.
Yeah, like English Corner.
Yeah, no, actually, please, like, tell us about English Corner.
Yeah, what is
like,
English Corner?
Yeah.
All right. So I think you've had a guest previously introduce English
Yasmin.
Corner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a
so-
little bit, but like, could you dive into maybe your specific like connection to it and what you do there?
All right. So I think to put it simply, it's just a conversation corner, and it's almost daily. Well, it is daily, Monday through Wednesday, or Monday through Friday, and we have different hosts each day, and we all have our different styles, I feel. So I can't say for the rest of the hosts, but for me, it's just creating an environment where Taiwanese students or foreign students that visit have a safe space to kind of practice English or try and converse and meet other people using English as their medium. So, yeah, before I was a host and I actually went and participated in English Corner previously, I feel like it was a good chance for me to kind of reach out to other people, especially since I didn't know much Mandarin at the time. So it was an opportunity for me to meet people in a way that I feel safe. Yeah. And I really try and provide that for everyone. Yeah, so
No, that's really cool. I wish there were more language clubs or language corners. And I know when just this past school year, some of my students started a language club, and they look at different languages, but also try to practice different languages. So I think that's a great idea to have very casual spaces where people can come in and just practice and not have to feel embarrassed or nervous about a place where it's safe, and you can just try, and if you fail, you fail, and if they don't understand, it's okay, because everyone's just there trying to do their best.
Yeah. We've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, but it's like having a chance to sort of play around with the language, kind of like how musicians get together and like play music together. And, it's not that every note has to be right, but it's this idea of kind of, getting to experiment in like a safe and like more comfortable place.
yeah, I think I can really agree on that. And it's actually, I think for most freshmen, it's actually required by their teachers that they attend at least a few times.
Oh.
And I think it's a good thing because it pushes people to actually try and see how they feel about it. Because a lot of people are just scared and think that, oh no, there's no way I can do it. But when they get there, they meet other people who are probably the same level
Exactly,
proficiency
yeah.
as them, and they get a chance to speak without feeling inferior in their
Right.
language speaking skills.
Yeah. And that barrier itself is, I feel like so hard to get past, which is why I think my first year here, or like in 2018, 2019, I didn't want to speak, because I just felt like everyone like couldn't understand me, or they were just, like you said, at a different level. And so if you're in the same level or, same space, it just feels easier.
For sure. Yeah. Nice. We'll try to make it out to English Corner
Yeah,
at
we
some
should.
point. Yeah.
Of course, you guys are very welcome. Other than English Corner, I actually host 2 other English events as well.
Oh, what are they?
So I feel like they're actually all different proficiencies. So I think English Corner is our medium proficiency, where we kind of give students a topic and prepare some questions for them to chat with. and they chat completely in English. Other than that, our more advanced option is English Cafe. Not sure if you've heard of it.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen posters for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I designed those posters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's more free reign in English Cafe, where we let the students walk around amongst themselves and actually take initiative to converse.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, for the first hour, and then the second hour we'd prepare like a icebreaker game. So after they don't have anything left to talk about, they can at least have fun and kind of get to know each other better, and I think even build a bond. So we have a lot of people who make friends at English Cafe and then become regulars.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. When is English Cafe?
It is Wednesday night from
Okay.
5 to 7, and it's by the graduate dormitory. Yeah, but I'm not sure if you have your TA observations.
Sadly, we do, but
There,
maybe
there might be a
yeah.
Wednesday, perhaps when the observations aren't running, or perhaps toward the end of the semester or the beginning of next semester. If there's an English cafe, we might be able to squeak one in,
All
which would
right.
be really cool.
Yeah.
Well, during midterms, we don't have any observations.
So,
we
yeah,
take a break.
Oh,
during
yeah,
the
that's
Oh,
right,
you
semester
take
as well.
you take
Yeah.
it. Okay, I guess everyone is just focused on exam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Have a low-key
if you
time.
ever get a chance, you can drop by.
Yeah.
Other than that, our I think beginners proficiency English event is something called English Fun Learning, and it's not so much like English Corner and English Cafe where you have to converse. It is more a English board game learning environment. Yeah, so it's for students to kind of use their English vocabulary to play games or learn some board game vocabulary. And I think it's much less scary for them because they just focus on playing the game and then they use the little English that they need to. And I think that's also like a good environment to let people who are less confident in their English skills to like foster a sort of English environment. Yeah.
Cool. What games do you play?
Oh, so we have like very generic board games. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with. We have like Scrabble,
Yeah, of course.
Dabble, Taboo.
Oh, I love Taboo.
Yeah.
I'm curious, now that you mentioned playing games and just using English very casually in a fun way, are there any Chinese games like that? I'm wondering if I can like buy someone who could just
Yeah.
play in the office
Yeah,
or like
might be
casually, like a Chinese Taboo. That would be cool.
I think there definitely is. And
Okay,
I
okay.
think, yeah, you just need to have Chinese words. You can
Yeah.
print out your own.
True.
Yeah, you know what? Make
Yeah.
your own game.
Yeah.
Do that.
Okay.
And then if it's more advanced board games like Werewolf, I'm not
Oh.
sure if you're familiar with.
Werewolf
There
is
are
fun.
Chinese versions for that as well.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
of course.
I think some audience might not know what is Rebel in Taboo. For me, I don't know what it is.
Oh.
Can you guys explain that?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Game?
So I think these are very common English games that you'd find overseas. Scrabble is a game where you have different tiles with letters on them, like T and A and stuff, and then you kind of the goal of the game is to make words using your tiles, and the tiles have points assigned to them as well. And also, if you have the Scrabble board, you have different bonuses depending on where you put your words. And I think the goal is kind of to get the most points. So you make words, get points, and then you have people who play with you, and then you try and get more points than them. Taboo, I think, is more fun.
Yeah, it's a word game as well, and there's a word you have to guess, but on that card there are I believe, 4 other words that you cannot say. So, for example, if the word I'm trying to get Alden to guess, it say car, right? But then under it would be like wheel or driving or
Like door or
door,
something.
key. And so I'm trying to say words or give hints to Alden for him to guess car. Yeah, so it's really fun. It's a classic game, and yeah, I think it builds English proficiency in a way.
Yeah.
And it helps also. Even when I started playing it, I was like, oh wow, like these are all words that connect to this word, and I like obviously knew that, but in terms of just building, so there's New York Times game called Connection too,
Yeah.
and that's really fun. And just all of these games can just help you practice English.
Yeah, and I think it's also an opportunity for them to learn more English vocabulary. So a lot of them would find out about new words and would be Googling what this word means. And I think that's actually really cool because, hey, they at least leave this room having learned some new vocabulary. And yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity for people with beginners proficiency English.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of students who participate? Would you say there are a consistent, I don't know, 10, 20 students who come, or like what is the engagement and participation level?
Right, so I'd say for the English fun learning, it's mostly it would mostly be around 40 people or
Wait,
so.
how many? 40?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And then we'd split them into tables, and then
Wow.
I'll try. It's a 2-hour session, so I'll try to let them play 3-4 games, and then they also learn about these games and also give them the rule book. So it's their job to kind of figure out how
Yeah.
to play as well. And I
Wow,
think that's
wow.
also a fun challenge.
That's great.
That's
Yeah.
cool. We should do that instead of observations.
No, I mean, what we actually might try to do for our for our observations is when we have our TA training sessions, we might even consider telling them and telling their professors about, every now and then having game nights, like making the English fun, making the English be about something that is perhaps more accessible to the students.
Yeah.
So this is really good, and thank you for giving us more kindling for the fire that we're going to hopefully light here. I also wanted to circle back to your time in South Africa, because we've been talking a lot about like the education on campus, some education just here in Taiwan, at the university level. But when you were growing up, the South African education system, how different is it from like here per se? Like, what are some
Alright.
differences?
So I won't say that I'm too familiar with the system here, but from what I know is that the students here study very hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's the same in the States, but for us
Yeah.
in South Africa, it was a lot more easygoing. Definitely, we would end probably around 2, and then after that, it's sports for us. Yeah, so South Africa, there's a lot of extramurals and sports, which I feel like a lot of schools in Taiwan don't offer as much as they should. So, like our schools used to offer music courses, different extracurriculars like choir and debating and all this. From what I know, the students here, especially the maybe junior highs and stuff, they have to take extra lessons and stuff. Like for them, it's something extra that they have to do, and the schools don't provide that to them.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, if they're not doing extracurriculars, they're just going to cram school to study
Yes.
to get high marks for college or like college entrance exam.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have like extracurriculars at some elementary schools, But it is true that after a while, there seems to be a lot of emphasis on being in school
Yes.
for long hours and,
Yeah.
making sure that you go to cram school. Because last year, really, none of my students went to cram school at the small, indigenous school.
Well, I was
that
gonna say,
at.
I think that's a different situation, right?
Yeah, but there were also some at the school before that who didn't, and they would do the extracurricular
that's
stuff
cool.
after
Okay.
school on certain days, like rollerblading, music, and some other things like soccer or swimming. But for sure, like it is very, very minimal in comparison to South Africa, and we have a huge sports culture in the United States. Sometimes to the detriment of the students, but
This I can agree on.
yeah, but it certainly is de-emphasized in place of cram school in Taiwan for sure.
So did you play any sports
Yes.
growing up? Oh, cool.
So I played mostly racket sports like squash and tennis. So I haven't been. I wouldn't say I'm very coordinated. Yeah, but for some reason, racket sports I can navigate my way through. So.
Oh, okay.
Have you had a chance to play here on campus?
Probably not
So-
tennis because it's so hot.
Yeah, definitely.
Squash maybe?
I did tennis during winter.
Oh.
They do offer PE courses where you can choose different sports.
Sweet.
So I think, I think they really brought that back for a university, like the extracurriculars.
Nice.
But yeah, I did tennis here during the winter semester, so that I could still manage.
Yeah.
But squash, unfortunately, they don't have here. It's not as popular in Taiwan.
Okay.
But I did get a chance to pick up badminton.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was
Big-
really fun.
Big sport here.
Yeah.
A lot
One
of
of the most popular.
Yeah, a lot of elementary school students play badminton, or I'll just see them just practicing because I go to, well, not here, but I go to like a sports center, local sports center in Yilan, the sports center.
Yeah, of course.
And enter, and there's a gym. It's a basketball gym, but I never see anyone playing basketball. It's just students, little like
Yeah.
young students just playing badminton.
That's true. That's true.
It's really cute.
So funny. Yeah, the popular sports in Taiwan are definitely like badminton and basketball and baseball, but badminton for the students, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's really funny. In addition to that, in South Africa, so you would like play sports after school, and you said that there were music courses. Did you do any like music courses or art or anything like that too?
Yeah, so I think maybe it's because I came from an Asian family, so I was kind of pushed to do musical instruments as well. And, I don't know. I feel like the whole Asian system doesn't work for me because I felt really pressured to do these things, and I didn't enjoy them as much as I should. So it would always start out. I actually went through 3 different instruments. I went through the recorder.
Oh yeah,
the
was
violin.
that something that everyone had to do, or no?
No, no.
Oh,
so
okay. Because the
it's-
recorder, that was something everyone had to do in elementary school in
Yeah.
the States. Did you have that too?
We had one like year where
Yeah.
we were like doing mandatory recording.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I feel like in Taiwan it's either pushed or it's mandatory. At every school that I've been to, they've played the recorder.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's when it started.
Yeah.
So the previous guest, we talked about the violin, and so yeah, I guess I did do the recorder and the violin. So I have tried two.
There you go. So the recorder and
I did violin as well.
there it is. There it
Yep.
is.
And then I did violin for quite long, and then I was always forced to practice and stuff, and
Yeah.
I really didn't enjoy it. So I dropped it for a while, and then after that, I sort of had a fascination with piano. So I dived into that.
Of course, I was don't say piano, but of course.
Yeah.
And that was your own interest, or was that something
That-
family?
I think it all started as my own interest,
Oh,
but
okay.
at the end, it became kind of pressuring. Yeah. Yeah, so it's been a while since I've played all of them, which I think is quite a pity since I did put all that time and effort into it in the past.
Do you think you would play a little bit more if there was less pressure to like be good at the piano versus like to just have fun with it?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like when I was still enjoying these instruments, it would be where I would try to write my own sheet music.
Nice.
And, I'd just try and have fun with it and play tunes that I enjoy. And then as I got more advanced, it would be more classical music that I have to learn and practice. And I think at some point, it's not as enjoyable as when you just start out. Yeah.
Going back to what you said about identity, you talked about growing up, you didn't feel connected to your Taiwanese identity, but more so your South African one. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because in America, Asian Americans in general also struggle with identity. So I'm curious what that experience was like for you.
Okay, so I can definitely understand traditional Chinese immigrant families where like the children who might be first or second generation
Right.
but feel more American or more foreign than Chinese or Taiwanese. I can kind of understand their whole identity crisis. But for me, I grew up in a English boarding school. So when I was 6, I was like shipped off to boarding school.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up not even thinking about this whole culture thing. And
Right, because you're so young.
Yeah.
You don't really start developing identity until maybe like middle school and really in high school.
Yeah.
And so, wow, were you in like all throughout, like
All throughout.
first grade to 12th grade?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
What was that like? Being away from your family, or boarding school is when you lived
Yeah.
away. Okay.
So I actually didn't struggle with that too much. So I liked having my own space, and
nice.
I had a good time. I fit in well. We have quite a decent Asian community in South Africa, actually. But I think I didn't experience the elements that might give someone the identity crisis thing.
Right.
Yeah. So sorry I can't speak more on
No,
that.
no, it's
No,
okay.
no,
Yeah, I was just curious.
It's actually good to have this sort of diversity of background because we talked about this stuff on the podcast before, and it's interesting to hear how everyone sort of navigates it and what circumstances kind of lead to either the disconnect or the connect, or like who even gets to like have the identity in the first place, who is the identity accessible to. Funny thing is, we've actually had someone who worked here before come back like once or twice, and we've talked to him a little bit about this idea of like language and like who gets to speak the language based on their background and where they originally come from versus their ethnicity. And so this is kind of fascinating. We love talking about this kind of stuff. It's always interesting.
Yeah, and part of the podcast, one of our goals is really just to allow our guests to just share their story and share their identity, and that's only can be true for that person, right? So like regardless of whatever your experience, I just again appreciate you sharing. And even though you couldn't answer the question, it's like totally fine. Everyone has their own experiences, so again just appreciate you coming and sharing a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I got one more question.
Yeah, go for it,
Like,
Alden.
we've talked about like some of the few things that we miss from the States before. Is there anything you miss from South Africa?
I think for one, I miss the space.
Oh yeah, like just generally having space,
Not
right?
being on top of each other, and even like the residences, having your own private residence as opposed to apartment life.
Right.
And also, I think one thing is it's way too humid in Taiwan. Yeah, I'm used to the dry air in South Africa, and also, the whole thing with South Africa is that it's really dry and we don't get any rain. So back then, I'd always appreciate rain, and then after coming to Taiwan, like I have to carry an umbrella with me every day because
Yep.
you never know, and it's hasn't been as enjoyable. Yeah.
Well, one thing you can do if you ever need to escape the heat and the humidity is to go to the mountains. You don't even have to go super high. You don't have to go, like to the crazy peaks. You don't have to hit the Baiyue. But what you can do is you can go to some of the places like Ren'ai. These kind of towns that are like roughly 2,000 meters up in the air. It's a lot cooler up there, a lot less humid, usually a bit of a breeze, and really just the rain comes in the afternoon. But, the early morning and the evenings are pretty chill.
That's nice to know. Awesome. I will definitely look into that.
Nice. Wait, are you gonna be ready for the snow and cold weather in Northern Europe?
I am more than ready for it.
Wow, yeah.
My heart is there.
Great.
Nice.
Gotta do your thing, Alden.
So, thank you very much for tuning in to the ChattyAF podcast. This podcast is now on Spotify as well. A link will be in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, comment, and we'll see you guys next time.
All for the algorithm.
Yes, all for the algorithm. All right, anyway. Thanks.
Thanks, Ash.
See you around. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.